7:52. Cars are getting bigger, parking places aren't. The result, guess what? More pranks.
In fact, new research shows that accidents in car parks are up by more than a third over the last 2 years. Accident Exchange, who provide courtesy cars, say the repairs now cost £1.4 billion a year. Breakfast John Maguire has been in a car trying to find a space.
As a sales rep, Karen Appleton drives more than 20,000 miles a year, around twice the average. She lives in the countryside and has opted for a four-wheel drive, which, she admits, can be tricky to park.
The other day I almost thought I was going to have to climb the roof of the boot because I parked in an empty space and came back and there were cars parked around me, and I couldn't open the doors. Luckily somebody came back and moved. But yeah, it's becoming increasingly more difficult.
The first challenge, find a space. Second, fit into it. And third, actually try and get out of the car.
Always reminds me of that movie The Matrix. Do you know?
The problem, as vehicles have been getting bigger, they've outgrown many parking spaces. It's something the AA has been taking a measure of.
We've got two minis then, Sarah. This one's from the 60s. 63, it's gorgeous. Let's see how wide it is.
1.3.
And as we know, the Mini in name, but not necessarily in size. We think it's bigger. What have you got?
Just over 1.6 metres.
Quite a growth over the last 50 years.
We spoke to our members and over 90% said that they feel that parking spaces are too small comparative to the size of modern cars. There's nothing more frustrating than coming back to your car and finding that it's been damaged.
And the insurance industry says the bill for that damage is huge and it's getting bigger.
So the reality is, over the course of the last 2 years, there's been a 35% increase in collisions involving cars in car parks. Now, to give you some perspective on that, that's £1.4 billion worth to the insurance industry, and that doesn't even include the likes of car hire, which are additional costs.
That's the repair bill alone?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The headlight was 1,008 plus VAT. We had to have a new bumper on. And the wing.
Both David Bamford and his wife had damage to their cars when they were left in car parks. The repair bills ran into thousands.
We were very lucky that the people were honest. They came in and said, I've just hit your car. But it was just trying to get out of the car park. And then you've got all the inconvenience of, you know, how do I get the kids to school? How do I get to my office? How do I get to work? What do I do?
So if our cars are getting bigger, then why aren't the spaces?
There's no legal minimum size. There's a design standard which was put in place some years ago, which is 4.8 metres by 2.4 metres. But it is just that, a design standard, and a lot of car park operators use that as the minimum standard these days. But the problem here is older car parks, some of which have been around since the 60s and 70s, and aren't designed for those larger vehicles.
Larger spaces would mean less revenue and reduced capacity. So, when it comes to cars and where to park them, size does matter. John Maguire, BBC News.
I told you already that once I got stuck, I couldn't get my car out because I was so heavily pregnant. Somebody parked so close to it, I couldn't get into it. So this must happen to lots of different people.
We have the wide cars are getting wider as well, aren't they? But
yes, and the spaces are very small. But you'd like the challenge.
I do love a challenge of a tightly squeezed parking space. Keith has emailed in saying people choose the car they drive. If they find it difficult to park and getting in and out of the car, they should choose a smaller one and not blame the size of the space.
OK, Colin has a simple solution. He says, I have no problems parking as I get up early when there isn't anyone in the car park.
Brian, over the last few years, I have made use of the parking passenger door.
Right.
So, old Dukes of Hazzard style. Perhaps car park designers could help with arrows pointing in and out with alternate spaces.
Julian suggests the width of car parking spaces in car parks needs to widen to a national standard. I have a standard width car, whatever that is. I'm fairly slim and agile, still struggle getting in and out of my car in car parks of my hometown. Thank you so much for getting in touch.
There's one in town in Sheffield.
Yes.
And it's like 2 feet either side. You can have a good old wander round.
Really?
Yeah, never see another car. Right, time now to get the news of travel and the weather wherever you are.